If you've never gone to the opera, this is the one to come to. It's easy to understand the story, you know, beautiful love triangles, spaghetti western, guns and girls, and it's really a fantastic story, but at its core, it's still a story about humanity and about love, and that's what we all can identify with in some way.
I think this is one of the great neglected American operas. And even though this is an Italian opera, it's a spaghetti western, but it's about us. It's about the American West. So it's more our vernacular, of our culture. You just don't get a chance to see it that much.
When he wrote this, Puccini had seen, or at least heard about, some vaudeville productions that were happening right around the turn of the last century in New York. And they would take place in the out west, and they would have grand sets and horses and you know, your traditional cowboys and Indians and all that kind of stuff with guns shooting on stage. And he loved it, and he said he wanted to make an Italian grand opera, that what he wrote, in that style. And so he started searching for source material and found this story, The Girl of the Golden West, and he was like, that's the one, that's what I can do.
It's a very different piece, just the kind of music. And it's funny, Puccini has a sound that people recognize. And this, you know it's Puccini, but you also hear, you know, a little Debussy and a little Gershwin, and there's some quotes from Star Wars that pop in and say, that sounds really familiar. And one of the big hit tunes in Phantom of the Opera was lifted straight out of this. People who know Broadway and come and hear it are going to hear tunes that sounds really familiar, whether they figure out where it came from or not.
It's not your typical, oh, these two people love each other, oh, somebody's gonna get killed, somebody's jealous. It's more about things that, though everybody understands, you know, falling in love and everything, this is something that's maybe even a little more accessible. It's a bunch of people who are trying to figure out how to deal with, they're down on their luck, life isn't really turning out how they hoped they would. They've got these comrades around them that they try to depend on, and that sort of surrounds the typical love story. And I think that's the chorus and the minors and all these smaller characters are actually an entity in the story that may be the most accessible and most relatable and most endearing, and some of the things that people are going to leave really being touched by.
With this wonderful cast, it's really, many in the cast have done this opera before, and you feed off of that. You feel their energy and the depth of their characters.
I mean, these are singers that I've known of in the business for a very long time, and they are exceptional. We all get along incredibly well, and we have such a good time together. So it's nice when you can trust each other to really do your best work and to bring the work forward.
Even though people may not know this work, this is actually a good piece to start with. If you've never been to an opera, if you aren't sure what it's about, almost everybody has seen a Hollywood Western, and this is pretty much a Hollywood Western as an opera with the best soundtrack in the world.